So as I record this, the UK is in the grip of a fuel crisis. Huge queues at petrol stations, people panic buying and filling up loads of spare fuel cans. And there have even been videos of people filling up water bottles and plastic bags of fuel and taking them home. I've been watching these events from close quarters, and I've also been watching the response of the UK government and the way they've dealt with this major incident. So what can we learn from the way that UK leadership has responded? Well, we can certainly learn how not to do things in our own companies, that's for sure. I'd say the response of the UK government to this major problem has ticked a number of boxes in the list of what not to do in a crisis. Let's take a look and see the lessons we can learn for our own jobs. Firstly, deny the problem. Often you'll find out that there's a problem at work when one of your clients lets you know. That's not ideal. It's much better to have some sort of monitoring system that alerts you to the issue ahead of your clients being impacted, but it's not always possible. But on the occasions that you do get a client complaint about that IT system not working or that business process not delivering, then what do? What you absolutely do not do is shout back at your clients that they've got it wrong and that things are in fact just fine. They might be fine. The client might be mistaken, or the problem might not be of the magnitude that your client thinks. But swatting their complaints back at them doesn't do you any favours at all. If you do this, as James cleverly does here, then you're effectively belittling the ability and intelligence of your stakeholders. If they're telling you they're impacted, then generally they will be, or at least they'll feel like that, and they'll be experiencing all the emotions of being impacted. And then it's up to you to empathise and investigate fully. And if the clients were wrong, then so what? It's cool. It's better to show that you're all over their concerns than that you think they're mistaken and making it up. So if your clients are telling you there's a problem, then there is a problem. Blame somebody else. Another one guaranteed to wind up your clients is the deflection of blame. We've all had it. Something goes wrong, and the first response to our complaint is that, hey, it's not our fault. Clients of a service or firm look to that service provider to be the accountable face of what they pay for. And yes, often the reasons for any issue are complex and might not directly lay with that service provider themselves. There could be any number of third parties where the root cause actually lies. But clients aren't interested in those details. If they complain to you, then you're the one they're expecting to fix the problem. And they're also expecting you to admit that you're the one accountable for it, even if you actually might not be. Clients don't have the time or energy to be trawling around between different teams. Just like when you call customer support for one of your household utilities, you might have the patience to deal with 2 different people, but after that it's going to get very tiresome very quickly. As the UK Transport Secretary Grant Shapps does here, blaming somebody else for the issue is not a good look. Not only does it complicate any potential remediation of the situation, but it can come across like they just don't care. In fact, Shapps manages to blame the clients themselves and another party, just not himself. Say nothing. Communication is vital when incidents happen. And generally for serious problems, the clients are waiting to hear from the person in charge of the service or in charge of the company. The more senior, the better. What does that do? Well, it gives a sense that the problem is being addressed and taken seriously, that the issue is being given the appropriate level of focus. We're on it. We get there's an issue, it's gone right to the top, we're giving it all the focus we can. But here in the UK, it took over 5 days of the crisis being in full effect for the person at the top to make an appearance and actually have a comment on the situation. And that caused #WhereIsBoris to trend on Twitter and numerous negative comments as to whether the government was actually taking this problem seriously or not. So if you've got a serious issue at work, your clients are going to want to hear from you. They're going to want to hear from your leadership and maybe even higher, depending on the magnitude of the problem. And actually the top person might not be the best place to remediate the problem, but what that does is it shows the impacted people that the issue is being taken seriously and with priority. And that's what clients really want. Be inconsistent. As we've spoken about, communication is vital when it all hits the fan. You need to act fast and get the facts of the incident out to people as soon as you can. And then you'll need to update regularly. And those updates might come from several of your team or well as several of your leadership. So what not to do? Well, you could do better than avoid this type of messaging from the Prime Minister and the Transport Secretary. One message from Boris Johnson and another different picture from his minister. Clearly not synced, not organised, and ultimately coming across like they might not actually know what they're doing. Not the image you want to portray to your clients. So as a leader, make sure you and your incident team are clear on the messages that you're giving to your clients. Even a slight inconsistency is likely to be pounced on, and it gives the impression that the incident isn't being managed well or taken seriously. In the modern workplace, incidents will always happen. Some will be minor and some will be mildly catastrophic, but they will always happen. It's just a case of when rather than if. And as such, clients of any service or company fully understand that. There's not one user of an IT system that doesn't realise things will occasionally break. But it's when things go wrong that leaders and great teams come to the forefront. In situations like that, it's vital to accept accountability, get onto the problem fast, communicate well and often, and come across as empathetic, organised and professional, even if all hell is breaking loose in the background. As a leader, I always tell my teams that when the worst happens, it's actually a really good opportunity to show everybody, our clients, our peers, and ourselves, just how good we can be. In fact, we regularly get feedback that our handling of issues is first class, and we end up getting more kudos than if the problem hadn't happened in the first place. And it's really depressing to see governmental leadership displaying such a lack of understanding of the basics here. Bad things will always happen. It's how you and your teams respond that can make all the difference.